What happens when a person's public identity is so fundamentally different from their private reality that it breaks the internet's collective brain? In 2018, the world witnessed what appeared to be a glitch in the matrix of reality television. A 13-year-old girl named Courtney Hadwin stood before a panel of judges, looking like she wanted the floor to swallow her whole. Her shoulders were hunched, her voice was a mere whisper, and the air of anxiety was thick enough to feel through a screen. But when the music started, the shy schoolgirl vanished, replaced by a snarling, dancing, high-voltage rock star that seemed to have been transported directly from the 1970s. It was the kind of moment that creators dream of, a viral explosion that garnered hundreds of millions of views overnight. Yet, beneath the surface of that golden buzzer moment, a much more complicated and controversial story was already beginning to unfold. We weren't just watching a performance, we were watching the birth of a massive industry debate. While the audience was cheering, the skeptics were already sharpening their knives, preparing to tear down the narrative of the untrained amateur. This wasn't just about a girl with a big voice. It was about the authenticity of modern stardom and the lengths to which producers will go to create a perfect moment. As the gold confetti fell, the girl who couldn't look the judges in the eye was suddenly the center of a global firestorm. But as we investigated deeper, it became clear that the real Courtney Hadwin was someone the public hadn't even met yet. The transition from a quiet village in England to the brightest lights in Hollywood was never going to be a smooth ride, and the shocks were only just beginning to surface for the young performer. Is it possible for a viral sensation to be too good for their own benefit? Almost immediately after her audition aired, the digital investigators of the internet went to work, and what they found sent shockwaves through the fan base. It turned out that Courtney wasn't quite the undiscovered talent the show's editing suggested. Just a year prior, she had been a finalist on The Voice Kids UK, where she had already showcased her powerhouse vocals to a national audience. The outcry was instantaneous. Critics labeled her an industry plant, accusing the network of manufacturing a fake shy persona to make her eventual outburst seem more dramatic. The accusations surfaced that the entire nervous girl routine was a calculated performance designed to manipulate the judges and the voting public. For a 13-year-old, this level of scrutiny was devastating. While adults in the industry were debating the ethics of reality TV casting, a child was being torn apart in comment sections across every social platform. Her family was forced to step forward, clarifying that her social anxiety was a very real, documented struggle, and that her previous experience didn't make the transition to the American stage any less terrifying. They revealed a heartbreaking detail. Courtney often sang in her sleep because it was the only time she felt truly free from the weight of her own self-consciousness. Despite these explanations, the scandal lingered like a dark cloud over her entire run on the show. It raised a chilling question about the nature of fame in the digital age. Can a young artist ever truly have a fresh start, or will their history always be used as a weapon against them? The narrative of the innocent amateur had been shattered, and Courtney was left to navigate a world that was suddenly very suspicious of her every move. When the cameras stop rolling and the contracts are signed, the real struggle for survival in the music industry begins in the dark. After her high-profile run on America's Got Talent, Courtney Hadwin was seemingly set for life. She had the backing of Simon Cowell, the most powerful man in the music business, and a major label deal with Arista Records. On paper, she was the next global superstar. But then something went wrong, horribly wrong. Instead of a debut album and a worldwide tour, there was a deafening silence. Years passed without a significant release, and fans began to wonder if Courtney had become another casualty of the golden buzzer curse. Our investigation into this period reveals a chaotic behind-the-scenes struggle. The label that signed her, Syco Music, began to crumble under the weight of a changing industry, eventually shutting down its music division entirely. Courtney was caught in a corporate tug-of-war, shifted from one executive to another, none of whom seemed to understand how to market a teenage girl who sounded like a vintage soul legend. There were rumors of creative stifling, with suits trying to push her toward a generic pop sound that stripped away the very jagged edge that made her famous in the first place. She was trapped in a legal limbo, unable to release the music she wanted, but prohibited from taking her talents elsewhere. This wasn't just a career delay. It was a systematic silencing of an artist during her most formative years. While the world moved on to the next viral trend, the girl with the lion's voice was stuck in a room with lawyers and executives, fighting for the right to be herself. The dream of superstardom had turned into a nightmare of red tape and broken promises, leaving her career on life support while she was still just a teenager. While the internet was debating her talent, Courtney was fighting a much more personal war in the hallways of her own school. It's a tragic irony that being one of the most famous teenagers in the world can actually make you the most isolated person in your hometown. Reports surfaced that, during the height of her fame, Courtney faced relentless bullying from her peers. The very thing that made her special on a global stage made her a target in the classroom. Students would mock her performances, her style, and her personality, creating an environment where the shyness she was accused of faking became a necessary shield for her mental health. This period of her life was marked by an intense internal conflict. She was a star in Los Angeles but an outcast in County Durham. The psychological toll of this duality cannot be overstated. She was dealing with the oft dreams of a normal childhood while simultaneously carrying the expectations of a multi-million-dollar career. There were moments where the pressure became so immense that her future in music seemed genuinely at risk. The accusations of being a fake, coupled with the physical and verbal harassment at school, created a perfect storm of isolation. This part of the story is rarely told because it doesn't fit the shiny, star is born narrative of reality television. But it is perhaps the most crucial element in understanding why she eventually chose to walk away from the mainstream path. She wasn't just fighting for a career. She was fighting to keep her spirit from being crushed by the weight of public perception and private cruelty. The resilience required to survive that kind of environment is something no talent show can truly measure, and it's a testament to her strength that she didn't disappear entirely. What do you do when the industry that promised to make you a star becomes the very thing holding you back? For Courtney, the answer was a radical and risky bid for freedom. After years of being sidelined by major labels, she made the shocking decision to sever ties with the corporate machine. She walked away from the safety of Simon Cowell's umbrella to reclaim her own voice. This was a move that many industry insiders considered career suicide. But for Courtney, it was the only way to avoid being completely erased. Now operating as a fully independent artist, she has finally released the music she was exposed to for years but never allowed to share. Her debut album, Lil Miss Jagged, serves as a sonic manifesto of her independence. It isn't the polished, radio-friendly pop the labels wanted. It's a raw, gritty, and often uncomfortable exploration of her experiences. She has traded the massive marketing budgets of Arista for a grassroots connection with her fans, proving that she doesn't need a golden buzzer to command an audience. This transition hasn't been easy. She's had to learn the business side of the industry on the fly, managing her own bookings and creative direction. But the results speak for themselves. The robotic expectations of the talent show circuit have been replaced by a genuine human connection to her art. She is no longer a product being sold. She is a creator taking ownership of her narrative. This pivot is a bold statement to the entire entertainment industry. You can't own a voice that refuses to be tamed. By choosing the hard road of independence, she has ensured that her future is determined by her own talent rather than a board of directors, effectively revealing the true artist that had been hidden behind the curtain of corporate interests for far too long. As we look back at the chaotic trajectory of this young star, we are forced to ask, is the price of instant fame worth the cost of an artist's soul? Courtney Hadwin's journey from a viral sensation to an independent outlier is a cautionary tale for the modern age. She was the girl who shocked the world, then the girl the world tried to expose, and finally the woman who decided she didn't need the world's permission to exist. We've seen the accusations surfaced about her past, the rumors of her career's demise, and the intense scrutiny of her every move. But through it all, the one thing that remained constant was that unmistakable, jagged voice. Today, she stands as a symbol of defiance against a system that often treats young talent like disposable commodities. She has navigated the dark side of fame, survived the collapse of major labels, and overcome the cruelty of those who didn't understand her. Her story isn't just about music. It's about the fundamental human need to be seen for who we truly are, rather than the version of us that's most profitable for a network. As she continues to record and tour on her own terms, she leaves us with a thought-provoking reality. In a world full of manufactured stars and carefully curated personas, the most shocking thing you can be is authentic. Whether she ever returns to the top of the mainstream charts is almost irrelevant. She has already achieved something much rarer. She has found her own frequency in a world full of noise. Her untold story serves as a reminder that while fame can be given by a judge or a golden buzzer, true respect is something an artist has to earn by refusing to stay silent. The girl in the yellow suit didn't just find her voice. She fought to keep it, and that might be the most revealing part of her entire journey.